Hello and welcome to the Carl Jackson Show. Man, do we have a bang-up show for you today. I'm so excited to speak to our guest in just a moment here, Ned Ryun. We're going to be talking about his new book, American Leviathan. I hope that you guys read this book. I'm glad that he has written this book. So we want to delve into that. Also, obviously, today is 9/11. So I want to get his take on that, where he was and his thoughts and memories and all that kind of good stuff. We'll talk about that. Obviously, the post-debate analysis. We'll get that and more. So, again, jam-packed show for you. But I want to go right to my guest, Ned Ryun. Ned Ryun is the founder and CEO of American Majority and Voter Gravity. He's the son of former Congressman and Olympian and Presidential Medal of Freedom recipient Jim Ryan. He's been on the show before. Ned, welcome back to the program. I appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, good to be with you, Carl.
Okay, so and obviously I can't wait to get to your book, and I'm glad you've written it, especially with the platforms that you're able to get on, because I really believe that I hate the term, I got to be honest with you, Ned, I hate the term influencers. I think I consider you. It just sounds kind of weak. You know, I feel like I lose some of my XY chromosomes when people say that. But I feel like you're a culture warrior, and I feel like people respect you for that. And I think that culture warriors that have platforms need to be talking about the founding of this country, what has made this country exceptional, and how progressives, how people on the left have destroyed it, and frankly, how weaklings even on the right are helping that occur. But before we get to that, 23 years since 9/11, Ned Ryun, just real quick, give me your thoughts, memories of that particular day, and are you concerned? Let's just be real where we are under this Biden-Harris administration, that we could be looking at another 9/11 style attack occurring in the United States.
Well, I agree, Carl. The fact that our southern border is so porous, the fact that we saw reports just the other day from Panama that there's identified Hezbollah terrorists moving through the Darien Gap. I mean, it's shocking that we've allowed ourselves to get to this point after having experienced a 9/11 incident, that now we're seeing this. I mean, we've apprehended, I think it was 160, 170 known terrorists on the terrorist watch list. Tens of thousands of Chinese nationals, males. I mean, there's a lot going on that southern border that I think is a national security crisis. Going back to 9/11, I remember very clearly. I was working in the White House, and I remember that day. I can remember almost every moment of it.
Wow.
I was actually a little bit late getting in. I was a presidential writer for George W. Bush at that time. And I walked in a few minutes late, and some of my fellow writers were already watching the news, and one of the Twin Towers, it was on fire. There was smoke coming out of it, and the initial reports thought it was a small plane. And I remember sitting there watching, and a buddy came in from across the hallway. We're in the Eisenhower building, the old executive, came across the hallway and said, "Hey, the Pentagon is on fire." Now,
wow.
I'll tell you, Carl, we didn't think much of that. As I look back, it's kind of shocking. You just kind of roll with it. But the week before, the laundry room in the Pentagon had been on fire. So he walks in and says it's on fire. It really didn't register with us that something might be connected between the Twin Tower being on fire and the Pentagon being on fire. And then a few minutes later, he came back and said, "I think we should probably leave the building." And so we all got up. I left my suit coat, my laptop, didn't even turn off my computer. I called my dad, who was in the house at the time, and said, "What's going on? Do you know anything?" He's like, "Well, they're taking us to a secure location. We're not really sure what's going on." We just kind of wandered out of the White House and stood at the corner of 17th and I believe it's G Street. And a few minutes later, my sister, who was working in the faith-based office, came charging out. Her eyes were wide as saucers, and I was like, "Are you all right?" A few minutes after I'd walked out of the White House, the Secret Service had come running through the hall screaming, "Get out, get out, get out."
Wow.
And I remember exactly what we did. There were some pastors who'd been visiting the White House that day, and we prayed on the corner because we didn't really know what was going on. We went into a local bar to watch the first tower collapse, and the head of the correspondence office, where the presidential writers, that's the office we worked out of. The Secret Service told us to get out of the bar. She met us halfway down the block and said, I don't really know what's going on, but you guys need to make your way home as best you can. You cannot go back in and get any of your stuff. So I remember very clearly walking all the way home from the White House to my parents' house. I was renting the basement from them in the southeast quadrant of D.C. And then that night, all of the members of Congress met on the steps of the Capitol saying, "God bless America." But yeah, what a day. I mean, it's clearly etched in my memory 23 years later, that day, the feeling, the sights, almost moment by moment.
Honestly, obviously I didn't even know that story, Ned. I'm so glad that you shared that with myself and our audience. That honestly sent chills down my back, and I got to be honest with you. I feel like we've forgotten. It's so frustrating. At least half of America, maybe more. I'm just like, I feel like we're asleep at the wheel, Ned. I'm a little concerned.
We have taken a lot of things for granted over the last 2 decades plus. And those people who have allowed this southern border crisis to take place, I would argue, do not have the best interests of this country in mind. I've gone so far to say that those who have actually gone this far and turned it into not only a humanitarian crisis, a national security crisis, hate this country. They hate the American people. They do not have the best interests of the American people in mind. And the fact that they have allowed it to get to this state that we know there's Hezbollah and other known terrorists trying to get through our southern border. I mean, if nothing else, Carl, I have to tell you, the one central issue a lot of people say is the economy and inflation. We better think about how we secure our border, reestablish sovereignty, but actually start thinking about prioritizing the American people's security and safety. And the only one that wants to do that is Donald J. Trump.
Yeah, I mean, which that's a perfect segue. Let's talk about the debate. I got to be, and all I can do is just be real with you, Ned, and you share your thoughts. I was a little hot last night. I've had 24 hours nearly to digest it, so I'm not as hot. I wanted a knockout punch from Donald Trump last night. I didn't feel as though he delivered that, but the more clips that I've heard throughout the day, and just frankly listening to other people's comments and stuff like that, I'm like, okay, I'm feeling a little better because Kamala Harris didn't strike a blow necessarily either, which is a great thing. And I think Donald Trump will ultimately win. I wanted to see that knockout punch, though. Give me your take.
I have to tell you, I've had this conversation with a lot of people that are heavily involved in politics like I am, who have been in D.C. for a very long time. We were watching a debate that the normies and the independents were not watching. They were watching another debate. And what they saw was something different from what we saw. And what they saw was Kamala Harris not able to answer much of anything at all, with no solutions. And they saw Donald Trump standing up there saying, "I have solutions. I've been there, and life under me was much better." And you see that in some of the exit polls. Reuters had a small focus group. Yeah, 6 of the undecideds afterwards said we're absolutely voting for Trump. 3 said they're voting for Kamala, and 1 still undecided. I think what they saw last night was Kamala Harris has been in the White House for almost 4 years. She has brought this upon us, and whether it's the economy, whether it's inflation, whether it's immigration, the whole host of disasters brought on by the Biden-Harris administration. And the independents undecided saw that she has absolutely no answers or solutions for how to fix this, in fact, because she's the one that's brought it upon us. So I think in the short term, the immediate reaction was, yeah, sure. Could Donald Trump have done better? 100%. It's 3-on-1. Obviously, the one thing, Carl, that I wish he had done that I think would really have changed the dynamics a lot at the very beginning, as soon as the ABC moderator started attacking him and it was clear that it was a very rigged debate, he should have just said, how about you guys get up and go stand behind the podium with Kamala Harris so we remove this illusion that there's somehow a fair debate and you're moderators. We know it's 3-on-1. Just go stand behind the podium and let's have that debate. I would have loved to have seen that.
Ned, is there any way that if there is another debate, you can put on a Trump mask and do just that? I
don't think there will be.
No, I totally agree. We only have a minute left in this block. I totally agree with that. There is no way there'll be another debate, in my opinion. A minute left in this block. Go ahead, Ned.
Well, if there was another debate, the only one I would say that Trump should agree to is actually where he thinks he'll have a fair and balanced moderators. And Kamala Harris will never agree to that. She rejected the Fox News one, which I think Brett Baer and Martha McCallum, who probably would have been the moderators, been very, very fair and even-handed on both sides. She chose ABC for a reason.
Yep.
Right. That was chosen obviously by Biden, but she stuck with that one specifically because she knew they were going to be on her side. So I don't think she's ever going to agree to anything that might even be a fair and balanced debate moving forward. And I don't think Donald Trump would ever agree to something like that ever again.
Yeah, I hope to God that conservatives have learned our lesson. Never, ever go on ABC News or accept the terms of a debate from one of these state media organizations. Anyway, I'm speaking with my guest, Ned Ryun. We'll be back in just a few. I want to unpack his book, American Leviathan. You guys stay tuned. This is the Carl Jackson Show. Hey, Carl Jackson here. You've asked, and MyPillow listened. They're finally bringing you the most requested offer ever. Right now, you can get the queen size premium MyPillow for just $19.98. MyPillow is made with a patented adjustable feel. It adjusts to your exact individual needs, regardless of your sleep position. It helps to keep your neck aligned. It holds its shape all night long, so you get the best sleep of your life. Plus, it keeps you cool, which I absolutely love. But that's not all. You can get their 6-piece kitchen or bath towel sets for just $25. You get the brand new mattress topper for as low as $69.98, and their famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25, and so much more. Go to MyPillow.com or give them a call at 800-858-0263. Use promo code Carl, C-A-R-L, I don't spell it like the communists, to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products, including the premium queen-size MyPillow, for just $19.98. That's the lowest price ever. Don't delay. Order today. Use the promo code Carl at checkout. Also, let me talk to you about Priority Gold. Economists warn that massive tax hikes could devastate your IRA and your 401k account as the stock market braces for impact. With inflation on the rise and global uncertainty looming, it's clear why central banks and savvy Americans are turning to gold. In times like this, Proverbs 21:20 reminds us to preserve what we built. Right now, that wisdom points us towards gold. If you haven't had your eye on gold, it's time to make it a priority. I'm Carl Jackson, and I'm urging you to call my friends at Priority Gold to find out how they can help you diversify your savings with both physical gold and silver. Call 1-800-405-GOLD or visit PriorityGold.com/golden for a free gold info guide. Plus, see if you qualify for free shipping and storage. Act now to get your portfolio working for you while the market is golden. Call 1-800-405-GOLD to speak with a gold specialist or visit PriorityGold.com/golden to learn more. That's 1-800-405-GOLD for your hedge against inflation. All right, welcome back to the Carl Jackson Show. Again, I'm joined by my guest, Ned Ryun, again, the founder and CEO of American Majority and Voter Gravity. He's also the author of the new book, American Leviathan, actually the birth of the administrative state and progressive authoritarianism. I'm so glad that he's written this book, American Leviathan, because it is so crucial and it is so needed. Everything, I don't want to go too far, but most of the things that we're witnessing take place, particularly when it comes against Trump and the attacks that we're seeing in large part against him and against the American people are due to the administrative state. And Ned Ryun writes about this, and I feel like it's so important for leaders like Ned to write about this because I don't think people get this anymore, Ned.
Right. No, I mean, one of the inspirations, Carl, for writing this book, I used to do a lot of MSNBC and CNN. For some reason, they don't want me anymore. It's very sad. But during 2017,
surprised you came out as centered as you have, Ned.
In the spring and summer of 2017, and I had studied the progressives a little bit, and so I was very familiar with the administrative state and all of that. But in 2017, I'm sitting there on sets of MSNBC and CNN with this crazy Russian collusion hoax and fairy tale. And thinking, this is insane. Like, you can't believe this is real because it's so patently false. And as I started to, work through that, understood it had nothing to do with Russian collusion fairy tale. Then came Ukrainian quid pro quo. Had nothing to do with anything to do with that. It was about who decides. And the problem was Donald J. Trump